Happiness is an inside job. It's not something that can be handed to you, nor is it something that comes from the world around you. It's an internal state of being, a choice that you make every single day. Too often, people fall into the trap of believing that their happiness lies in external things in relationships, in material success, in the approval of others, or in the achievement of certain milestones. We're conditioned to think, once I get that job, once I'm in a relationship, once I reach this level of success, then I'll be happy. But here's the truth, happiness doesn't work that way. If you keep placing your happiness in the hands of other people or in the circumstances that surround you, you are setting yourself up for a constant cycle of disappointment because external conditions change. People change. Life is full of unpredictability, and if your happiness depends on things you can't control, then your emotional state will always be at the mercy of forces outside of you. You'll be riding a roller coaster of highs and lows, constantly waiting for something or someone to make you feel good about your life. That's a dangerous game to play, and one that robs you of your power. When you understand that happiness is an inside job, you realize that you have everything you need to be happy right now in this moment. It's not about waiting for the right time or the right situation. It's about cultivating a mindset that allows you to find joy, peace, and contentment regardless of what's happening around you. It's about realizing that happiness doesn't come from the perfect set of circumstances. It comes from within you, from your ability to choose how you perceive and respond to life. Think about it, two people can experience the exact same event, and yet one walks away miserable while the other walks away grateful. The difference isn't in the event itself, the difference is in their mindset and how they choose to interpret and react to what's happening. The person who is able to find happiness in any situation has learned to master their inner world. They've developed the resilience to look inward for their sense of peace and fulfillment, rather than waiting for the world to hand it to them on a silver platter. And let's be clear, this isn't about pretending that everything is fine when it isn't, or forcing yourself to be happy when you're struggling. It's about understanding that you have the power to control your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions, even when you can't control what's going on around you. It's about recognizing that true happiness doesn't depend on things being perfect. It depends on your ability to create a sense of inner calm and contentment, no matter what life throws at you. When you take ownership of your happiness, you stop relying on external validation. You no longer need someone else to make you feel worthy or for circumstances to align perfectly for you to feel good about your life. You start to realize that everything you've been searching for is already within you. You start to tap into a deeper sense of fulfillment that doesn't fade when things don't go your way. It's not always easy learning to cultivate happiness from within. It takes time, practice, and patience. But it's a journey worth taking, because once you understand that happiness is something you create, something you generate from within, no one can take it away from you. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the creator of your own joy. This is why happiness is an inside job. It's your responsibility. It's something you have to cultivate every day through your thoughts, your actions, and your perspective on life. You get to decide what makes you happy, and you get to choose to be happy no matter what. The more you understand this, the more empowered you become to create the life you truly want to live without waiting for anything or anyone outside of you to make it happen. Self-reliance breeds confidence because it shifts the source of your strength from external validation to your own capabilities. When you rely on yourself, you begin to realize that you have the power to navigate life's challenges, make decisions, and take action without needing constant approval or guidance from others. This builds a deep sense of inner security, a belief that no matter what comes your way, you have the ability to handle it. When you know you can trust yourself to figure things out, to solve problems, and to make progress independently, your confidence naturally starts to grow. Self-reliance isn't just about being able to do things on your own. It's about cultivating a mindset that allows you to trust your own judgment. So often people look outside themselves for answers, asking others what they should do, waiting for someone else to tell them if they're on the right path, or hesitating to make decisions without external approval. While it's natural to seek advice or reassurance from time to time, relying too heavily on others for direction can weaken your ability to stand firm in your own choices. It creates a sense of dependency that can leave you feeling powerless when you're faced with challenges that require immediate action or decisive thinking. But when you cultivate self-reliance, you build the muscle of trusting yourself. You stop second-guessing your decisions, and you develop the confidence to move forward without hesitation. There's something deeply empowering about knowing that you don't need anyone else to give you permission to pursue your goals or validate your worth. When you rely on yourself, you stop waiting for someone else to tell you that you're capable or worthy. You already know it. And this doesn't mean you're arrogant or that you refuse to accept help when needed. Instead, it means you trust yourself enough to take responsibility for your own life, your own happiness, and your own progress. You stop placing your fate in the hands of others, and you start taking control of your own journey. As you continue to rely on yourself, each small success compounds your confidence. Every time you face a challenge and figure it out on your own, you reinforce the belief that you are capable. Whether it's overcoming a difficult situation, solving a problem, or simply making a decision and sticking to it, every act of self-reliance strengthens your confidence. And that confidence is what enables you to take bigger risks, set higher goals, and pursue the things that truly matter to you. You no longer fear failure as much because you've proven to yourself time and again that you can handle whatever comes your way. Moreover, self-reliance allows you to detach from the opinions and expectations of others. You stop worrying so much about what other people think because your confidence comes from within, not from their approval. This doesn't mean you become isolated or unwilling to collaborate with others. Rather, it means you're not dependent on their praise or validation to feel good about yourself. When you rely on yourself, you gain the freedom to live authentically, making decisions that align with your values and desires, rather than being swayed by external pressures. Self-reliance also builds resilience. Life is unpredictable, and there will inevitably be moments when you're faced with obstacles or setbacks. When you rely on yourself, you develop the mental and emotional fortitude to keep going even when things get tough. You know that you have the ability to bounce back from failure, to adapt to changing circumstances, and to find solutions even when the path isn't clear. This resilience further reinforces your confidence because you know that no matter how challenging the situation, you have the inner strength to persevere. In addition, self-reliance encourages independence of thought. When you're self-reliant, you're not easily swayed by popular opinion or the beliefs of others. You develop the ability to think critically, to form your own opinions, and to stand by them even when they differ from the norm. This independence fosters a deeper sense of self-confidence because you know that your beliefs, values, and actions are rooted in your own understanding, not in the expectations or opinions of others. You become more comfortable with who you are, which allows you to move through life with a greater sense of certainty and self-assurance. Another powerful aspect of self-reliance is that it helps you take ownership of your life. You stop waiting for others to solve your problems or give you direction. Instead, you take full responsibility for your actions, your outcomes, and your growth. This level of accountability builds immense confidence because you know that you are the driver of your own destiny. You are not at the mercy of external circumstances or other people's decisions. You are in control. When you take full ownership of your life, you realize that you have the power to shape your reality, and that realization fuels your confidence even further. As you become more self-reliant, you also cultivate a sense of self-worth that is unshakable. You know that your value doesn't depend on external factors, like how much approval you receive or how well you conform to societal expectations. Your worth comes from within, from your ability to rely on yourself and take care of your own needs. This understanding creates a strong foundation of confidence because you know that no one can take your sense of self-worth away from you. It's something you've built from the inside out. Self-reliance also fosters a sense of independence that extends into all areas of your life. When you trust yourself to handle your own challenges, you become more willing to take on new opportunities and explore uncharted territory. You're no longer afraid of stepping outside your comfort zone because you know that no matter what happens, you have the skills and the resilience to figure things out. This sense of adventure and willingness to embrace the unknown further strengthens your confidence because you're not limited by fear or uncertainty. Silence the inner critic because that voice inside your head, the one that constantly tells you that you're not good enough, that you can't succeed, that you're unworthy of love, or that you're destined to fail, is not based on truth. It's rooted in fear and self-doubt. The inner critic is a deeply ingrained part of many people's psychology, often formed through early experiences where they were judged, criticized, or felt inadequate. Over time, that external criticism becomes internalized and we carry it with us as we grow, allowing it to shape our self-perception and limit our potential. This inner voice often disguises itself as a form of protection. It tells you not to try because you might fail, not to take risks because the unknown is dangerous, and not to put yourself out there because rejection or criticism from others will hurt. But in reality, this voice only holds you back. It keeps you playing small, afraid to step into the fullness of who you are. It's a voice that undermines your self-esteem, questioning your every move, your every decision, making you second-guess yourself in moments where confidence is crucial. Silencing the inner critic doesn't mean ignoring it entirely. It means recognizing it for what it is, a habitual, conditioned response designed to keep you in a state of comfort and safety, even if that comfort is built on limiting beliefs. The more you listen to this voice unchallenged, the more it grows. It thrives on fear, self-doubt, and insecurity, and the longer you let it run unchecked, the more powerful it becomes in shaping your thoughts and actions. It becomes an automatic response that undermines your progress and creates a barrier between you and the life you truly want to live. The key to silencing the inner critic is awareness. You need to start by acknowledging that this voice exists, that it has been influencing your decisions, your behaviors, and your self-worth for a long time. Once you become aware of it, you can begin to separate yourself from it. You are not your inner critic. The thoughts that arise from this voice are not reflective of your true capabilities or your value as a person. They are simply thoughts, old patterns that no longer serve you. When you realize that, you can begin the process of challenging these negative thoughts instead of accepting them as truth. Part of silencing the inner critic involves reframing those negative thoughts into more constructive, empowering beliefs. For instance, when your inner critic says you're going to fail, so why bother trying? You can reframe it to, even if I fail, I'll learn something valuable and grow from the experience. This simple shift in mindset starts to weaken the grip of the inner critic. It interrupts the negative thought cycle and opens up space for more positive, affirming thoughts to take root. By consistently reframing these thoughts, you start to rewire your brain to focus on what's possible rather than on what could go wrong. Another powerful strategy to silence the inner critic is self-compassion. Many people don't realize how harsh they are on themselves. They say things to themselves that they would never say to someone they love. When you learn to treat yourself with the same kindness and compassion that you would offer a close friend, the voice of the inner critic starts to lose its power. Self-compassion is about recognizing that you are human, that making mistakes is part of growth, and that you are deserving of love and acceptance no matter where you are in your journey. When you practice self-compassion, you counteract the harshness of the inner critic with a gentler, more nurturing voice that builds you up instead of tearing you down. Silencing the inner critic also requires taking control of your inner dialogue. Many people allow their inner critic to run on autopilot, repeating the same negative messages day after day. But you have the power to change that. You can choose what thoughts you allow to take up space in your mind. When you catch yourself in a negative thought loop, stop and ask yourself, is this thought helping me, or is it holding me back? If it's holding you back, then it's time to let it go and replace it with a thought that aligns with your goals, your values, and your true potential. The inner critic often feeds on comparisons. It tells you that you're not as successful as someone else, not as talented, not as attractive, not as worthy. But the problem with comparison is that it's inherently flawed. You're comparing your own complex, unique life experience to a superficial version of someone else's life, one that you can't possibly understand fully. When you allow the inner critic to compare you to others, you are always going to feel like you come up short. But the truth is, your journey is your own, and it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Silencing the inner critic means letting go of the need to measure yourself against others and instead focusing on your own growth, progress, and path. One of the most destructive aspects of the inner critic is that it can make you feel like an imposter in your own life. It tells you that you're not deserving of your accomplishments, that you've somehow tricked people into believing you're more capable than you really are, and that any moment now you'll be exposed. This feeling, known as imposter syndrome, is a direct result of letting the inner critic run wild. But the reality is that if you've worked hard, if you've achieved something, then you've earned it. Silencing the inner critic means recognizing and celebrating your own achievements instead of downplaying or dismissing them. The inner critic often disguises itself as a perfectionist voice telling you that you're not allowed to make mistakes, that you must be flawless in everything you do. But this perfectionism is a trap. It's impossible to achieve. And the more you strive for it, the more you reinforce the idea that you're not good enough. Silencing the inner critic means embracing imperfection, understanding that mistakes are a natural part of the learning process, and that they don't define your worth. In fact, it's through imperfection that growth happens. When you stop demanding perfection from yourself, the inner critic starts to lose its grip. Another tactic the inner critic uses is fear of judgment. It convinces you that if you put yourself out there, whether it's in your career, in relationships, or in personal pursuits, you will be judged, criticized, or rejected. This fear can be paralyzing, keeping you from taking action and pursuing your dreams. But the truth is, everyone experiences judgment from time to time, and not everyone's opinion matters. Silencing the inner critic involves recognizing that you don't need the approval of others to validate your worth or your choices. You are allowed to pursue what makes you happy, regardless of what others may think. It's important to understand that the inner critic thrives on repetition. The more you let it run unchecked, the more it reinforces the negative beliefs it promotes. Every time you let the inner critic dictate your actions or inactions, you strengthen its power over you. But the reverse is also true every time you challenge the inner critic. Every time you refuse to let it control your thoughts or decisions, you weaken its influence. Over time, as you continue to practice self-compassion, positive reframing, and self-empowerment, the voice of the inner critic grows quieter. It becomes easier to recognize when it's speaking, and you develop the tools to silence it more quickly and effectively. Silencing the inner critic doesn't mean eliminating all self-awareness or constructive self-reflection. It's important to recognize areas where you can improve and grow. But the inner critic is not about growth, it's about tearing you down, making you feel small, and keeping you stuck. Real self-reflection is about learning from your experiences in a way that is supportive, encouraging, and aimed at helping you move forward, not about making you feel guilty or inadequate. True freedom comes from self-love because when you truly love yourself, you liberate yourself from the need for external validation and the pressure to conform to other people's expectations. Self-love is not just about being kind to yourself or practicing self-care in superficial ways. It's about deeply accepting who you are at your core. It's about recognizing your worth, embracing your imperfections, and being at peace with your flaws and strengths alike. When you cultivate this kind of love for yourself, you free yourself from the endless cycle of seeking approval or affirmation from the world around you because you know that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's opinions or judgments. When you truly love yourself, you stop feeling the need to live up to someone else's idea of success or happiness. Society, family, friends, everyone has their own expectations of who you should be, how you should act, and what you should achieve. Without self-love, these expectations can weigh heavily on you, making you feel like you're constantly chasing an unattainable ideal. But when you have self-love, you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to anyone. You understand that you are enough just as you are, that your value doesn't depend on meeting the standards set by others. This sense of self-acceptance gives you the freedom to chart your own path, to follow your own desires and passions without fear of judgment or rejection. Self-love also frees you from the prison of comparison. In a world where social media, societal pressures, and constant exposure to other people's lives make it easy to feel inadequate, self-love acts as a shield. Without self-love, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others, whether it's their career success, their relationships, their physical appearance, or their achievements. You may feel like you're not measuring up, like you're always behind or lacking in some way. But when you love yourself, you recognize that everyone's journey is unique and that your worth is not determined by how you stack up against others. You stop measuring your success through someone else's lens and start valuing yourself for who you are, not for how you compare. In addition, true freedom through self-love means releasing yourself from the burden of perfectionism. Perfectionism is rooted in the belief that if you could just be perfect, if you never made a mistake, if you always looked perfect, if you always did everything right, then you would finally be worthy of love and respect. But perfection is an illusion. Chasing it only leads to frustration, disappointment, and a constant sense of inadequacy. Self-love, on the other hand, is about embracing your imperfections and understanding that you are enough exactly as you are, flaws and all. It's about knowing that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy, and that your mistakes, failures, and imperfections are just part of being human. This release from perfectionism allows you to live more authentically, without the constant pressure to meet impossible standards. Self-love also creates emotional freedom because it allows you to detach from the opinions of others. When you don't love yourself, you tend to rely heavily on the validation of others to feel good about yourself. You might constantly seek praise, approval, or acceptance from friends, family, or even strangers to feel worthy. But the problem with relying on external validation is that it's fleeting and unreliable. People's opinions change, and the approval you receive today might disappear tomorrow. When your sense of self-worth is tied to what others think of you, you become vulnerable to their judgments and criticism. But when you love yourself, you no longer need others to validate your worth. You don't rely on their praise to feel good about who you are, and you don't crumble under their criticism. Instead, you trust your own judgment and inner sense of worth, which gives you the freedom to be who you are without fear of how others perceive you. Self-love also brings freedom from self-sabotage. Often when people lack self-love, they engage in behaviors that undermine their own happiness and success. This can take many forms: settling for unhealthy relationships, staying in jobs or situations that don't fulfill them, or engaging in habits that are destructive. This self-sabotage often comes from a place of feeling unworthy of better, of not believing that you deserve more. But when you truly love yourself, you set higher standards for how you treat yourself and what you allow into your life. You stop settling for less than you deserve, whether that's in relationships, work, or personal growth. You begin to make choices that reflect your value, that nurture your well-being, and that align with your true desires. This kind of self-respect gives you the freedom to live a life that is aligned with your highest potential, rather than being trapped in situations that diminish your sense of self. True freedom through self-love also means releasing yourself from the fear of rejection. Fear of rejection can be a powerful force that holds you back from pursuing your dreams, building meaningful relationships, or even being yourself around others. You might hold back, play small, or avoid taking risks because you're afraid that if you show your true self, people might reject you. But self-love gives you the courage to be vulnerable, to put yourself out there without the crippling fear of what others will think or how they will respond. When you love yourself, you understand that rejection isn't a reflection of your worth, it's simply part of life. You become more resilient in the face of rejection because your sense of self isn't dependent on being accepted by others. This emotional resilience gives you the freedom to take risks, to pursue your passions, and to live authentically, knowing that even if others don't approve, you still have your own love and approval. Self-love also provides freedom from toxic relationships. When you don't love yourself, you might tolerate relationships that are draining, unhealthy, or even abusive because you don't believe you deserve better. You may cling to people who don't treat you well out of fear of being alone or out of a belief that their love or attention is the only thing that gives you value. But when you love yourself, you no longer need to rely on others to fill a void. You no longer tolerate being treated poorly because you understand your own worth and know that you deserve to be surrounded by people who respect, support, and uplift you. This allows you to walk away from relationships that no longer serve you, creating space for healthier, more fulfilling connections to enter your life. It's this understanding of your own value that gives you the freedom to choose relationships that are based on mutual respect and love, rather than fear or dependency. In addition, true freedom through self-love gives you the ability to forgive yourself. Without self-love, it's easy to get stuck in a cycle of guilt and shame, constantly beating yourself up for past mistakes or failures. You might hold on to regret or self-blame, unable to move forward because you don't believe you're worthy of forgiveness. But self-love allows you to show yourself compassion, to understand that everyone makes mistakes, and that those mistakes don't define you. When you love yourself, you're able to forgive yourself for the times you've fallen short, for the choices you wish you had made differently, and for the imperfections that make you human. This forgiveness frees you from the weight of the past and allows you to move forward with a sense of peace and acceptance. True freedom through self-love also means embracing your authentic self. Many people go through life hiding parts of themselves out of fear that they won't be accepted or loved for who they truly are. They wear masks, try to fit into boxes that don't align with their true nature, and suppress their desires, dreams, and personality in order to please others. But when you love yourself, you give yourself permission to be exactly who you are, without apology. You embrace your uniqueness, your quirks, and the parts of yourself that may not fit societal norms. You stop trying to be someone else, and instead you fully step into your own authenticity. This authenticity brings a sense of freedom because you no longer feel the need to conform to others' expectations or to hide who you are. You are free to express yourself fully, to live in alignment with your true desires and values, and to be at peace with yourself, knowing that you are enough just as you are. Self-love also brings freedom from scarcity thinking. When you don't love yourself, it's easy to fall into a mindset of lack, feeling like there's never enough love, success, or happiness to go around. You might fear that if someone else succeeds, there's less opportunity for you, or that you're not worthy of abundance in your own life. But when you cultivate self-love, you shift into a mindset of abundance. You understand that there is enough for everyone, and that you are deserving of all the good things life has to offer. This abundance mindset frees you from jealousy, competition, and fear, allowing you to celebrate others' success without feeling diminished and to pursue your own happiness without hesitation. Learn to enjoy your own company because there is immense power in finding contentment and fulfillment in spending time with yourself. In a world that often glorifies busyness, social interaction, and external validation, the idea of being alone is sometimes seen as something to avoid, as though solitude is a sign of loneliness or isolation. But in reality, learning to enjoy your own company is one of the most empowering and liberating experiences you can have. It allows you to develop a deep connection with yourself, to understand your thoughts and emotions, and to cultivate a sense of inner peace that is not dependent on the presence of others. When you learn to enjoy your own company, you begin to realize that solitude is not something to be feared, but something to be cherished. It's in those quiet moments alone that you can truly reflect on your life, your goals, and your values. Without the noise of other people's opinions, judgments, or distractions, you have the space to think clearly and make decisions that are aligned with your true self. This clarity is incredibly powerful because it helps you understand who you are at your core, what you truly want, and what you need to do to achieve it. When you're constantly surrounded by others, it can be difficult to hear your own inner voice. But when you spend time alone, that voice becomes louder, clearer, and more trustworthy. Enjoying your own company also means becoming comfortable with yourself in a way that many people never achieve. So often, people seek out others to fill a void within themselves, believing that happiness, fulfillment, or validation must come from external sources. They look to relationships, friendships, and social interactions to feel whole. But when you rely on others to make you feel complete, you're giving away your power. You become dependent on someone else's presence or attention to feel happy or secure. Learning to enjoy your own company shifts that dynamic. It teaches you that you don't need anyone else to feel content. You don't need constant companionship or social validation to feel good about yourself. Instead, you find fulfillment within, knowing that you are enough on your own. Moreover, enjoying your own company fosters a deeper sense of self-awareness. When you spend time alone, you get to know yourself on a more intimate level. You become more aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your patterns of behavior. You start to notice the things that bring you joy, the situations that make you uncomfortable, and the habits that either support or hinder your growth. This self-awareness is incredibly valuable because it allows you to make intentional changes in your life. When you know yourself well, you're better equipped to create a life that aligns with your true desires and values. You're able to make decisions with confidence because you understand what truly matters to you, not just what society, friends, or family expect from you. Learning to enjoy your own company also means developing a sense of self-sufficiency. It's about recognizing that you are capable of meeting your own needs, whether they're emotional, mental, or even physical. When you enjoy your own company, you stop looking to others to fulfill you in ways that you can fulfill yourself. You no longer rely on others to make you happy or to provide you with a sense of purpose. Instead, you create your own happiness and purpose from within. This self-sufficiency is incredibly empowering because it frees you from the need to constantly seek external validation or support. You become more independent, more resilient, and more confident in your ability to navigate life on your own terms. Spending time alone can also help you develop a deeper sense of creativity and inspiration. When you're constantly surrounded by others, it's easy to fall into routines, habits, and ways of thinking that mirror the people around you. But when you're alone, you have the space to explore new ideas, to tap into your creativity, and to think outside the box. Many great thinkers, artists, and innovators have found that their most creative moments come when they're alone, free from the influence of others. Solitude allows you to dive deep into your own mind, to explore your thoughts and ideas without judgment or interruption. It's in these moments of solitude that you can access your true creative potential and come up with ideas and solutions that are uniquely yours. Learning to enjoy your own company also helps you build emotional resilience. When you can sit with yourself, with your thoughts, and with your emotions without feeling the need to escape or distract yourself, you develop a stronger sense of emotional intelligence. You learn how to process your feelings in a healthy way, without relying on others to soothe or comfort you. This emotional resilience is crucial because it allows you to navigate the ups and downs of life with more grace and composure. Instead of avoiding difficult emotions by seeking out distractions or relying on others, you learn to face them head on, to understand them, and to work through them on your own terms. Furthermore, enjoying your own company means embracing solitude as a time for self-care and self-nurturing. In a world that often pushes us to be constantly productive or socially engaged, it can be easy to neglect our own needs. But when you learn to enjoy your own company, you start to see solitude as an opportunity to recharge, to reflect, and to take care of yourself. It becomes a time to do the things that make you feel good, whether that's reading a book, going for a walk, meditating, or simply enjoying a quiet cup of coffee in the morning. This practice of self-care strengthens your relationship with yourself and reinforces the idea that you are worthy of love, attention, and care, even when no one else is around to give it to you. Enjoying your own company also allows you to set stronger boundaries in your relationships. When you're comfortable being alone, you don't feel the need to cling to others out of fear of being by yourself. You don't feel the need to constantly fill your time with social interactions just to avoid solitude. This means you can be more intentional about the relationships you cultivate. You don't tolerate unhealthy or draining relationships just to avoid loneliness. Instead, you choose to invest your time and energy in relationships that truly add value to your life. You set boundaries that protect your well-being because you know that you don't need to sacrifice your own peace and happiness for the sake of others. This ability to set boundaries and to be selective about the people you let into your life is a direct result of learning to enjoy your own company. In addition, learning to enjoy your own company helps you develop a sense of inner peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. So often people's happiness is tied to what's happening around them, their relationships, their job, their social status, or even their material possessions. But when you learn to find contentment within yourself, you realize that true peace comes from within, not from anything outside of you. You stop looking to the outside world to bring you happiness and instead find it in the quiet moments of solitude, in the simple joys of being with yourself. This inner peace is incredibly powerful because it means that no matter what is happening in your external world, you can always return to a place of calm and contentment within yourself. Enjoying your own company also means learning to be your own best friend. So often people are their own worst critics, constantly judging themselves, doubting their abilities, or being harsh with themselves in ways they would never be with others. But when you learn to enjoy your own company, you begin to treat yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and understanding that you would offer to a close friend. You start to become your own source of encouragement and support, rather than relying on others to fill that role. This shift in mindset is incredibly powerful because it means that you are always there for yourself no matter what. You become someone you can trust, someone you can lean on, and someone you can count on to be there when things get tough. Furthermore, enjoying your own company helps you cultivate patience and mindfulness. In a world that is constantly moving at a fast pace, where instant gratification is the norm, it can be difficult to slow down and simply be present with yourself. But learning to enjoy your own company teaches you the value of patience and mindfulness. It teaches you to be fully present in the moment, to appreciate the beauty of simply being without the need for constant stimulation or distraction. This practice of mindfulness allows you to connect more deeply with yourself and the world around you, bringing a sense of calm and clarity that is often missing in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Lastly, learning to enjoy your own company fosters a sense of self-love that is unshakable. When you can find joy, peace, and fulfillment within yourself, you stop looking for those things in external sources. You stop relying on others to make you feel loved, validated, or complete. Instead, you cultivate a deep sense of love and appreciation for yourself, knowing that you are whole and worthy exactly as you are. This self-love is the foundation for all other relationships in your life because it allows you to approach others from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. It allows you to give love freely without expecting anything in return because you are already fulfilled within yourself. In conclusion, the journey of learning to be happy alone is not just about being content in solitude, it's about cultivating a deep relationship with yourself that empowers every aspect of your life. When you learn to find peace, fulfillment, and joy within, you stop seeking external validation and embrace the power of self-reliance, self-love, and inner strength. This ability to enjoy your own company builds resilience, confidence, and true freedom. It allows you to set higher standards for your life, make choices that align with your authentic self, and approach the world from a place of wholeness. Ultimately, the key to lasting happiness lies in recognizing that you are enough just as you are, and that the love, validation, and contentment you seek already exist within you.